Hello everyone, and welcome to our video covering the 5th episode of Season 3 of Strange New Worlds. What are you thinking of the season so far? I hope you're enjoying it, and I've seen all of the reactions online. I've seen people thinking this is the best season ever. I've seen people thinking this is the worst season ever. I've seen people in the middle, 3/4, 2/4. Well, it's fun. It's one of those seasons that's got people talking. It's definitely got people engaged. And I think this is an episode as well that is going to get some good reactions to people. I personally think that this is one of the stronger episodes of the season. I'll be interested to see what you think as we go along. Obviously, I want to say thank you so much to everyone who is subscribing, everyone who is following us on the various social media. Thank you everyone who is sub to us there as well. You are awesome. Thank you to Ellie, who is putting in so much work on all of our socials. She is doing like the lion's share of that. She is awesome sauce. And thank you Eddie, who's editing these videos. He did get his 40 minutes of sleep since last week. I did have a chat with him. I think in fact he got like 47 minutes, and we all thought it was really funny and he thought it was funny, and then he punched me and he was right to do it. Punching aside, are you all enjoying the lovely t-shirts that we're sporting? Because we are having so much fun sharing them and seeing the pictures of people wearing them in the wild. Thank you so much. In fact, to the people who are walking around Vegas at the moment, thank you so much, everyone who has picked one up. I look forward to hopefully grabbing a couple of pictures with some people as well. That would be awesome. If you want your very own, you can grab it in the link underneath the description of this video. And yes, mentioning Vegas once again, as this airs, we are probably currently stalking the halls of the Rio Hotel. So thank you so much everyone who has come up and said hi, you are wonderful, thank you. And to everyone who has come up and not slapped me, I appreciate that as well, really, thank you very much. That's very nice. It's very nice, thank you. You are brilliant. Folks, will we talk about some Star Trek? I think it's probably time. Will you join me for all the ups and downs for episode 5 of Season 3 of Strange New Worlds, Through the Lens of Time. This episode shines a lot of light on some of the supporting cast for the season, and my first up of the episode goes to Gamble. Yay, Nurse Gamble is getting a load of screen time in this one, and it's sure to end well. But no, we're going to start with the log, you know, his junior medical officer's log. He is delighted to be there. Through his log, we learned that it's been another few months again since Wedding Bell Blues. So we're about 6 months on from Hegemony Part 2 at this stage. So, you know, we're scooting through time a little bit.
Good evening. I'm multiple-time winner of the Beta Prize, L.E. Fontana, and you're watching GTM. Our top story this evening: my award-winning work is being blocked in your area. That's right, the Federation, Klingon, and now Cardassian governments are coming together to use geo-blocking to stop me bringing my hard-hitting stellar reporting to you. But those great people at Surfshark are here to help me get the truth to you. All you need to do is click the link in the description. Surfshark VPN can help you gain access to over 3,200 different servers with over 100 different locations, helping you stay ahead of the geo-blocking that keeps me from getting the truth to you. Surfshark VPN also keeps you safe from those suspicious Federation Section 31 bugged public Wi-Fi networks, so you can browse my content with pure peace of mind. Go to the link in the description of this video and use TrekCulture at checkout to get 4 extra months free with purchase. That, plus a 30-day money-back guarantee and 24/7 support service, lets you know you're in safe hands with Surfshark. I'm L.E. Fontana. Stay safe out there, and remember, the truth will set you free.
He is coming up to the end of his official rotation on the Enterprise. We see that he has a great relationship with Dr. Mbenga so far. In fact, I just think that Chris Myers and Babs Olusomakan are so good in this episode together, which I will go into in more detail as I go along. But it's also just fun to focus on a lower decker which is what he is. And I know I'm not alone and we're still mourning the loss of Lower Decks. Come on, movie. Come on, you can do this. But it was great seeing him just get so excited by what's going on around him. And he also directly leads us in to the return of Cillian O'Sullivan as Roger Corby. Now, I thought he was a blast in Wedding Bell Blues. I love this now. When I say it's a new take on the character of Corby, you've got to remember that Roger Corby, the one that was in the original series 60 years ago now in the episode What Are Little Girls Made Of, we technically never saw Corby. We saw an android version of Corby. So when I say this is a fun new take on the character, is it? Maybe it's just another facet, or maybe this is what Corby always was. But I enjoy that they're playing in this kind of Indiana Jones-esque version of Corby. Still very much, you know, an expert in his field. He wanted to be called Doctor, remember? Yeah, Doctor. Here, they're setting up for an archaeological dig on Vadia 9. So Vadia 9 got a name drop in Wedding Bell Blues, but we're actually going there this week. There's some nice banter between himself and Christine. Jess Bush is brilliant in this episode as well, where you can tell that he is obviously very keen to get going on the project. He's obviously, he's wary of working with Starfleet because he is not a soldier, nor is he an explorer, whatever Starfleet's calling itself this week. But it's playful. Christine teases him a little bit. She says, you know, I'll just go hyperspray Pike. I was going to call him Spike. Sorry, I've been watching a lot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She says, I'm going to go and hyperspray Pike so that, you know, you can just be in control. And I do enjoy, it's a very natural, fluid feeling between these two characters. Sadly, I cannot say the same of the next two characters, one of whom is Christine, the other one being La'an, and it's my first down of the week. Although we don't spend much time on the whole La'an Spock Chapel thing this week, thankfully, what we see of it is enough for me to say, thankfully we don't see too much time. I thought it was very odd that when Christine asks La'an, because obviously the secret is, it's not a secret that La'an and Spock are spending more time together. And Christine says, kind of, how's that going? And La'an's first reaction is, don't be one of those women. That was a weird thing to say. I don't know, that just struck me as very kind of, oh, that was 0 to 100 straight away. I don't want to talk about it, or let's not do this, but don't be one of those women. That was an odd way to broach the topic in this episode. No labels and fun times is what she says herself and Spock have agreed to call it. I can well imagine Spock using the phrase no labels and fun times. So I think that might be the label that La'an is putting on, or the lack of label that La'an is putting on things. But sure, listen. Gamble, back in sickbay, is absolutely delighted by the fact that he gets to go on the away mission, because that's what he's wanted. He's wanted to go on, it's you know, a few away missions at this point and he hasn't been able to go, but he's gonna go on this one because not only does he want to go on away missions, he is very excited with Corby's research, ancient civilizations and molecular transference of consciousness. Sounds like Corby's got a bit of a fanboy got going on here. Even more so when Mbenga tells Gamble he's going on the away mission, which results in Gamble giving him the biggest hug and then immediately saying, sorry. I love it. I love it. It's an up from me. It's closer probably to what I expect to see in something like Lower Decks. You know, this kind of the excitement of the lower decker. But I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, look, we're far from the original series, but again, not in a negative way. I think, you know, that's now sort of the reaction you'd nearly expect. I liked it. It just felt nice, this scene. He is heading straight toward the briefing room, but before he gets there, he has to go through the turbo lift. He enters a maybe uncomfortable scenario, because moments ahead of him, Christine had walked into the turbo lift. There was Spock, and there is that sort of awkward meet cute thing. We don't linger, and that's important. You do get the sense that this is the first time they've spoken or been alone together in quite some time. Spock is his customary blunt self. I like that Spock. I do. I like that this is good. You know, he has put safeguards in place to make sure that the away mission goes smoothly, one of the safeguards being Gamble. But just before this, he says in his customary style, I see that you do not trust me. That's going to become important. Gamble then realizes pretty straight away, oh, I've interrupted something. Returning this week again is Minor Loken as Mini Ortegas. Yes, Berto is back this week and I really like him. He's flying a 23rd century version of a drone around and it's bugging Pike, but he has been given the go-ahead to make this documentary about Starfleet. Actually, really quickly, potential, I'm going to discuss episode titles for a second, so if you don't want to know any episode titles for the rest of the season, just heads up, there is an episode later on this season called This is Starfleet, and we reckon over here that that might be the episode in which we discuss the documentary that he's making. I would really like to see that, because if it's done well, I'd love to see a sort of a documentary day to day in Starfleet. I'd be cool with that. Okay, here's the end of that section. Okay, so back to this. Pelia, Carol Kane, returning this week from excuse of the week. Nah, she was on shore leave last week. She's obviously very comfortable around a camera, which was fun. And also, she gives Gamble his name this week. Up for Pelia in this scene, up for how comfortable she is in front of a camera, and up for how she kind of gives us the exposition of what Beto's doing without, you know, kind of stopping the episode to say, he is making a documentary, he discussed this in Wedding Bell Blues. Yeah, it works for me. We get the introduction of the Macroon in this episode. Starfleet has been invited by the Macroon, who are the alien race who are effectively in control of this planet, down to be a part of this with Corby. And there's a sort of a reference to they need the deflector beams on the Enterprise to actually get access to the dig site. So I like the fact that there's a reason everyone is where they are. The Macroon actually making their debut appearance in this episode. They had previously been mentioned in section 31. Down on the planet's surface, I just have written down here, quarry, yay. Doctor Who fan, love a good quarry, I do. But you've got Beto, you've got Uhura, you've got Chapel, you've got Corby, you've got Gamble, and you've got Majel. Good old Majel. Don't get too attached to Majel. We get a cool little thing about the drone that Beto is using, which is that it uses intuitive software. Now, I don't know if this is a bit of a yay AI thing that this episode is making, but the AI part of the drone hones in on Beto and Uhura because it can sense the heat and the subtext between them. And while, yes, it's an important thing for the plot later on, nicely done. Let me give you one up. That was pretty smooth. Uhura gets a bit of a nod from Chapel, who goes back to setting up the pylons, and then we get that shot of the Enterprise using its deflector dish to connect with the pylons down on the planet that ends up revealing that entire temple. What an up! That was a cool little shot. We also get that cool little reference to Jaws as well, when Chapel goes, we're gonna need a bigger away team. The extended away team is really just La'an and Spock, because again, the point is made that they are all there by the invitation of the Macroon, who are not exactly the most open-armed of hosts. They will only allow down the most necessary members of the crew. I kind of like this as a plot device, because it is addressed why, you know, they don't just send down teams in teams, why it's a small group, but also why the Enterprise doesn't just fire its torpedoes and get them out of there. You know, there's the backdrop of diplomacy going on here. It's quite a Star Trek way of looking at things. We walk up to the door of the temple and, you know, you get the sense of, could be some stuff going on here, couldn't there? Corby produces an artifact that he had found hundreds of light years away. One of the things that actually led him to this planet. You know, I like it. Things are lining up pretty well so far, okay? Everyone is moving into place. Christine just sticks her hand in front of the door and gets a finger prick, so... okay. Don't do that. Doesn't seem to have any sort of immediate side effects, and at least Gamble goes up and says, all right, okay, I'm scanning you, you seem to be okay. Right, doors open, in we go, boom, magic technology stops working. But, now I've complained about this in the past. Of course your communicators and transporters stop working the second you need them to work. It works in this context. It does work in this context. So when they walk through that temple and they find themselves cut off from outside, they do have a discussion about it. Spock is all for, no, turn around, we're going home. We're not doing this Starfleet regulations. Corby is very much, you're not the boss of me. Christine is very much, let's find a middle ground here. We need to stay. We need to figure this out. Well, there's bodies on the ground. And by the way, the place looks amazing. This is a lot of AR wall stuff going on here, but very, you know, kind of, you get scale in this place. And I think it really works for the story. I did like, actually, on arrival, La'an and Spock, and it's La'an who says, fascinating. And Chapel picks up on it and just looks, it doesn't say anything, but just looks at her. And I will say, that was an up from me. Like, there is an understanding between, I like, get rid of that thing at the start of the episode. So not necessary. Little moments like this, they know each other. That stuff works for me. I like as well that when we're in the chamber then, knowing the characters, you have La'an who's sort of taking charge. Although Spock is the most senior officer, La'an is the senior security officer. And she says, don't touch anything. And Corby just kind of goes like, kind of defeats the purpose of being here. And she's like, you know what I mean? I like this interplay between the characters. The mood has slightly changed because walking in, Majel, who is one of the Macroon, had revealed that ancient sacrifice used to be done to their gods. Now, that's really interesting for a couple of reasons, which I'll discuss at Cetacean Observations. There's a bad feeling in the air. This is not a happy, sunny temple. This is probably a bit like the pyramid in Alien versus Predator. You're probably not going to have a good time in here. And when they walk in and see the bodies of those attempted thieves on the ground, this only confirms what they're already thinking. Maybe they shouldn't be here. While they're having a vote of whether to stay or go, Gamble starts looking through the packs left behind by these, you know, dead grave robbers, I guess, for want of a better word. And in it they find this tablet, this stone relief, which Corby starts having a look at. But he also finds this little orb, which starts to glow. And then I have written down, f***ing hell, Gamble, because it burns his eyes out. Not because I'm delighted that poor Gamble's lost his eyes. I was not expecting this. Star Trek in this season has already touched on horror actually a few times. We had the Gorn of episode 1, we had the Don't Call Them Zombies of episode 3, and here we have whatever's in this orb of episode 5. Now, I am a self-confessed horror fan. You know, I do stuff on What Culture Horror, for example. I enjoy horror. I will understand if people are a bit taken aback. I was taken aback at how graphic this episode is. I think it works for the story. I think I've said that a few times already, but I was properly taken aback by this scene because they did the clever thing this season. We had met Gamble enough times that this mattered. He's not, with all respect, just a red shirt. And this was a moment. They are, however, able to leave the temple straight away. He beams up to the Enterprise, and Mbenga puts this regenerative, it obviously looks like a visor, kind of, it doesn't, but this regenerative technology over his eyes. He's like, right, cool, we're gonna start healing you, oh my god. But remember, Mbenga is badly shaken. He really cares for this boy. Back down on the planet, you have the rest of the away team are like, what do we do? Do we go? Do we stay? Majel and Corby both vote to stay. And I get it, not because I would be on their side. I would be so far out of there, you would not see my dust, but I'm not an archaeologist. Meanwhile, you've got somebody who is being presented with the find of a literal lifetime. Sometimes your obsessions can take over. While they're arguing, they slowly realize that the choice is being taken from them. Because although they went outside to bring Gamble up to the ship, they then came back in and they can't get out again. Something Majel confirms by running directly at the door, only to be vaporized on their run. Bye-bye, Majel. Down, they don't exactly seem to give a crap. You know, there's certainly a bit of surprise as Magell is killed, but that's sort of it, really. There's one more reference, you know, kind of don't do what Magell did as the episode goes on. I'm not saying they were friends, but something. Up on the ship, we get the chilling revelation as Mbenga is scanning Gamble that although Gamble is talking to Joseph, there's no brain activity. Gamble is dead, and he panics about it. And it's so uncomfortable, and it's an up. It's pretty clear where this is going, and there's no massive surprises in that, but the way they play it, you know, Chris Myers plays this episode well. It's uncomfortable, it's sad, and it works. Down on the planet, Umberto manages to send his drone through another portal. So, because they think they can see beyond it, they decide that they will all walk through this portal in the same order that they entered the temple. All this does, however, is it seemingly separates them. You've got Christine and La'an, you've got Spock and Corby, and you've got Beto, and you've got Uhura. So, of course, people are scared, people are freaking out a little bit, and I think understandably. Two people who are not freaking out are Spock and Corby. And I want to give an up here to how Corby acts, because while everything is very, very serious, he is still so focused on the mission that that's his, maybe not main priority, but you can see that's what his focus is. And he asked the question, you know, do you really think that there wasn't enough technology to allow, I'm paraphrasing, but to allow people to exist forever? There is probably a fantastic sit-down conversation over cups of herbal tea to have between Corby and Spock. The problem is they just don't have time for it right now. It is interesting though. In their version of the room that they're in, the bodies of those old thieves are still there. Spock removes what appears to be a set of goggles from one of their skulls, and looking through it, he sees that the central dais in the middle of the room, when he looks through the goggles, is lit up, where it isn't when he takes them off. So he walks closer and looks down, and he sees what appears to be thousands of those same orbs, like the one that has possibly just killed Gamble, in this pit, in this well. They are very, very much not alone. Up on the ship, I like the exchange that follows quickly when you have Erica, who's very understandably worried about her little brother. And by the way, new hairstyle, taken up. I love as well Pike's command of the situation. As he can't just send down an away team because of the diplomacy deal they have with the Macroon. But he also says, like, look, we're doing the diplomatic thing first, and that will be the most important. But we won't abandon anybody either. We will take action if we have to. Is that not Star Trek to a core? Taken up. This scene gives us sort of a clashing moment. Carol Kane plays the serious Pelia very well here. She is an up for me in this scene. You know, she talks about not knowing what it is and really getting a sense of threat from this thing. Unfortunately for me, the moment breaks a little bit when she says, with all of the seriousness in the universe, it gives me the heebie-jeebies. That was a down. Just broke the scene for me there. We have then a very uncomfortable scene in sickbay where whatever is using Gamble reminds Mbenga of Rukia, his daughter, who of course he was keeping alive through the transporter buffer, who as far as we know went off to live with an alien race, and she was fine. But now questions are thrown on that when this entity asks, how do you know that was her? How do you know it wasn't the thing that killed her, that drank her tears and wore her face? If it wasn't horror before. The scene is somewhat broken by Marie arriving in sickbay for her latest treatment for the Gorn DNA that's inside her, and straight away something inside her recognizes an inherent threat in Gamble. I quite like this. This is one of those things where it has the potential to be quite silly, doesn't it? You know, suddenly, you know, a character who you've never seen before perform incredible acrobatic acts goes completely feral, as she does. But actually, I think it quite works. Plus, anything that keeps Mbenga alive makes me very happy. So that is an up to me. I liked the fight between this version of Marie and Gamble, because also it deepens the idea of inherited memory, molecular transference. There's something within her Gorn DNA which recognizes something in Gamble and knows it needs to be exterminated. She speaks to Pike. I want to say Spike. She speaks to Pike after this and explains that she doesn't know what it is exactly, but it cannot be allowed to escape or survive. One thing in all of this, and this is a trope of cinema, down, altered voice. Didn't need it for Gamble. So much scarier, just use his own voice, you know? Just that altering wasn't needed. Gamble is quickly captured again, and we do get that question, is it Gamble? Because he is seemingly convinced to come along quietly. I don't like this episode. I do like this episode a lot, but yeah. And also, is that blue shirt dead? Down on the planet, Berto is starting to freak out a little bit, and I think understandably. He's a filmmaker, he's not trained for these kind of situations. So Uhura takes charge. Up. I really like this. And through her taking charge, we realize that they are still in the same physical space. They're just in different versions of it. So Chapel, La'an, Corby, Spock, Beto and Uhura are still in that same chamber that they thought they were in. They're just in different planes of reality. They're able to concoct a way of coming back together again. It involves the stone tablet relief that they found in that pack, and also that artifact that Corby has brought to the planet as well. On the ship, we get, sadly, another down. We face Gamble in the brig, and you kind of are looking to camera sort of evil smile. Not needed. Just get rid of, if you're going to do that, get rid of emotion. Who are they smiling to? You know? Back down, we're sort of oscillating here, back down on the planet. I do want to give a shout out to Nami Malumad's score for this episode. We had some beautiful piano stuff earlier on, and now some beautiful cello score come through as well. I'm a sucker for soundtracks, always have been. We get everyone back in the same space, which works nicely. But to leave, we get the invisible bridge scene. And this was one Indiana Jones too far for me. It was down. It felt a little unnecessary. We do get that exchange of it's science, you know, it's causation before correlation or correlation before causation. It's sciencey wyancy. And it wasn't really necessary, I didn't think. They do, however, they step off, they do their leap of faith, which is what this is, and they walk up to the door. But what I did like was as they're going, Corby's longing look, that despite everything, despite the pure evil that is in this building and the danger that they face together, he still wants to go back in. And as Christine says, take the win. Up. If that doesn't become an important part of Corby's story going forward, I don't know what will. One of the more upsetting moments of the episode happens as Gamble escapes the brig. Not only does he convince a poor redshirt to come too close to the force field, but he does so by playing on the poor man's fears over his mother. You let me die alone, he says. Oh, and then straight through the force field, breaks the man's neck. It's awful, it's horrible. Gamble then gets as far as the science lab, holding Sam Kirk, Pelia, and Scotty at phaser point. It's an intense scene. Mbenga does come in and manages to distract Gamble. He wants to save him, but Pelia shoots him in the back. It is the safest way. And as this creature, who we learn is called the Vesda, leaves Gamble's body, Scotty jumps up and imprisons it in one of those orbs. Up for Pelia and Scotty in this scene. Up for Chris Myers overall. Because while sadly this does seem to be the end of his run in Strange New Worlds, he played this background character who became more important as the episode went on, so much so that this death hurts. My Latinum Up of the week goes to Chris Myers. That was powerful. Their way of dealing with the Vesta in the orb is to lock it in the transporter buffer. Glad they remembered to do that this week. And we get a sort of a final exchange where Pelia She talks about how, you're not supposed to talk about good and evil as absolutes, and she says that's nonsense. That thing was evil. And if those things get out of that prison, God help us all. Do you want another one for the camera? Yeah, that was enough. The episode ends on a stinger as Mbenga goes to contact Gamble's family, and we just see the display screen start to flicker a little bit. Yeah, it's in the computer, isn't it? Yeah, it's totally in the computer. Will you join me, please, at Citation Observations? We get a lot of Easter eggs to what we know Corby's sort of career and career path are going to be, with corporeal transference, ancient man's fascination with resurrection. Vadia 9. Now, this is a big one that I haven't talked about up until this point. Vadia 9 was name dropped in Wedding Bell Blues, in which I think we can now say, as StarTrek.com have come out and said, that character was Trelane. That character was then connected to John Delancey's Q. Right, so he says Vadia 9 is the old homeworld. If Vadia 9, the planet on which they are, the bulk of the action takes place, if that is the old Q homeworld, what the hell are the Vesda? Are we dealing with evil Q? Uh-oh. As they look at the map in space of where they are, we see things like Tribble Prime, which I don't know why, but I found Tribble Prime to be just a funny descriptor. Galorndon Core, Jagal, Boreth, Harlach, Camus, Janus, and of course we find out that Vadia, the home world of the Q, was inside Federation space the whole time. The Macroom, who make their debut appearance here, were first mentioned in section 31. That doll that Garrett destroyed was a Macroom doll. Majal, obviously, I wonder what inspired that name. Majel Barrett Roddenberry. That device that they're initially stood around really looks like a DHD from Stargate. Whether it was or not, I don't know, but the amount of DHDs I've seen in quarries shot in Canada just makes me smile. We're gonna need a bigger landing party. You're gonna need a bigger boat. Corby found this royal insignia on Polaris 12. They talk about Pretoria as well. Ancient astronauts. Could be one of those conspiracy theories. If only somebody had done an iceberg video on those. You never know. La'an's little uttering of fascinating. The alien corpses inside the room. Now, I'm just going to say what they reminded me of. They reminded me of the slavers that were introduced in the Larry Niven script for the slaver weapon back in the animated series. If they are slavers, this would be the second episode in a row that had animated series inspiration behind it. I think it's more that they're just kind of the same general shape as them. For example, the slavers were said to be gone by the start of the universe, but they could have been exaggerating. The orbs keeping the Vesda prisoner is a bit similar to Sargon's people from Return to Tomorrow. You know, the episode with Risk is Our Business? Similar, not the same, but yeah, it's kind of similar idea. Mbenga bioengineering eyes. I'm fine with that in terms of timeline. Like, we don't know that they weren't doing that, like, just before Geordi had a visor. The actual building in which they're in, when it starts moving around, very similar to, I thought, the Tesseract from Interstellar. Corby saying, do you really think the science doesn't exist to prevent our consciousness from fading? The Eretans want a word. Of course, poor Rukia gets a mention here, shout back to the Elysian Kingdom. The sort of possibly sad, but possibly knowing joke of the first one to die, the first Starfleet officer to die, is a blue shirt as opposed to a red shirt, although no confirmation that person is dead. And Gamble then does balance the scale. I suppose technically Gamble's the first to die. So we go white shirt, blue shirt, red shirt. Ah, sure, they're here just to change everything. Spock says curiouser and curiouser when he notices that he has a cut before he actually cuts his hand. Obviously that is from Alice in Wonderland, which is the story that Amanda Grayson used to read to both Michael and Spock as children. This leap of faith very similar to Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. Locking something in the transport buffer, something that's been done several times in Star Trek so far. And the idea of something possessing the Enterprise? Wolf in the fold, etc., etc. That is everything for our episode this week, folks. Thank you so much for watching along. You are awesome. You are wonderful. What did you think? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you everyone who watched our What the Hell reaction video this morning. You are also brilliant. Thank you everyone engaging with us on socials. If you want to stay up to date with everything, best thing to do is subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much everyone who has. It really makes a difference. So thank you. That's why we go on about it as much as we do. So thank you so much. Best way to watch all the new episodes is watch it on Paramount Plus. So you can check that out in the link below. And all of you, until I see you again, live long and prosper. Everyone who is currently attending Trek to Vegas, if I see you there, yay, come up, say hello. That would be awesome because you are awesome. Look after yourselves. Put some brightness out into the world. You are brilliant. Thanks very much.